2019, I believe, first year in Arizona. I thought he was tremendous. He walks down, and it's not easy to do in this league, play that much man coverage down in somebody's face, but physical, will tackle in the run game, tremendous man coverage guy. So, yeah, I was really, really excited to see that occurred.
How much does that, when you're as an offensive coordinator, how much does it influence what you do or call in a game? Yeah,
it's huge. Most of the time you like to see them as X's and O's, but there's those certain players that you have to know who they are and scheme around them, and he's one of those guys because he's that good of a player and that difficult to kind of deal with when he's able to take away one of your top options.
Just curious what you thought of Brandon Coleman's performance in his first full game, and was there anything that you felt like because of what he can do maybe changed a little bit of how you call this play versus that play because of his skill set?
Yeah, we're going to try to maximize what he does best throughout. Very athletic in the run game and the screen game, and that is apparent when you watch the film. But I thought he battled well. He continues to get better. Had the setback in training camp, but since then has just really worked hard in the meetings, on the practice field to get better, and that's what you like to see is just steady improvement, and you saw that against some really good rushers. He had a couple that he'd like to have back, but that was a great group that he was facing, and I thought he battled and competed at a high level.
And with Noah Brown, when you look at regular stats, receptions and yards, it doesn't factor in things like pass interference penalties. He's getting a lot of those. He's actually tied for the most in the league. Is that a skill and art? He's just a big guy, draws that contact. How does that work, and what do you kind of see with him in that regard? Yeah,
I'm not sure, but I think some guys have it and some guys don't. He's a very savvy football player. That's one thing when we got him immediately, just his understanding of the nuances of what we were trying to do and being able to put his own little spin on routes and concepts and understanding it was through the roof. And that's just another level of that. The ball's in the air. He's going back to make plays on the ball and has drawn some huge PIs for us.
I realize you guys try to keep things pretty focused during the week, but since you've been here, have you kind of noticed the increase in fan interest or, just the energy around this team, the attention around this team? And as part of that, how do you think Jaden has handled it as a rookie?
Y'all have heard all the answers and seen all the press conferences, as good as you could possibly imagine, I'd say, for Jaden. That's how he is, nonstop. He defers credit to everybody else, and it's just all about trying to get better the next week. And so that's been awesome to see, but not surprising, just kind of how he's handled his success thus far. And since I got here, just the amount of passion the fan base has been incredible. I had not been around that, where it's just live or die, and really longing to be relevant again, and you can feel that it's tangible. And so that's been cool to see that from the first one I got here, and then to actually have some success early and see people get excited. That definitely motivates all of us.
And then with Jaden, his scrambling ability, well documented, but especially when there's a free rusher, his elusiveness. What makes him so good at that? How is he able to just slip through guys like that?
Yeah, I think just the feel. He's played that way his entire life. He's very, very fast, obviously, so he knows what he can get away with and what he can. And then he also knows protections, and he knows when he should be picked up and when he's hot. And so he can kind of set guys up knowing, okay, that's the free rusher. I can set him up and get out this way or that way. And so it's a combination of his knowledge of the system and then just sheer athletic ability.
What sort of challenge does Pittsburgh's defense pose?
They're really good. Terrell Austin's done a tremendous job. Obviously, Mike T, the culture he has there, they're very physical, great personnel, play downhill, take the ball away. So it'll be a huge test. I think making sure we avoid negative plays and turnovers is going to be the key to keeping it, a ball game and being able to stay in it.
What's the key for Jaden to remain disciplined and kind of just like this the whole time that you talked about? Yeah,
just the work he puts in. I think you earn that right with how you work and keeping your process the same and not being bored of doing it over and over and over. And that's something that, from what I've seen, he's willing to pay the price every morning early through the evening of same routine, getting better, asking the right questions, putting the work in on the practice field. And when you have those things, the confidence is there, and so you don't need to change anything.
Hey, good afternoon, Coach. Preston Smith obviously had another potential playmaker to the Steelers defense. Wasn't really a big fit in Green Bay this year, so do you go back to previous year's tapes, not really look at the 2020-24 tape, and look to previous tape to kind of see what he might be able to bring this weekend?
Yeah, I've played against him before. Very good powerful, talented rusher. So it's not like they needed any help at that position, but they got it. So that'll just add to a very tough defense. And that, to me, is like the way those guys, the relentless pass rush, the way they get after the passer and just they fall into sacks. They'll beat you clean, and then they'll fall into stuff because of the effort and because the quarterbacks that are able to move, they'll keep chasing them in the pursuit. Is really impressive to watch. It's a credit to those coaches and the players and the culture they've created.
You kind of touched on the turnovers already. Every team drills it. Every team preaches ball protection, ball security. But you guys are doing it through 9 games at a rate that is not seen very often. So what's different, outside of the drilling and outside of the messaging?
I would just say the individual pride and the collective kind of brotherhood of guys taking it to heart that, hey, when you're carrying the football, you're carrying the entire organization. And those guys, they own it in practice, they own it in the games. And then you have to have some fortunate bouts as well. I mean, everybody knows that.
Hey there, Coach. So far this season, we've seen some differences, if you will, in the running back room, right? When Austin had to go out for Arizona, I think, of course, B. Rob has been inactive due to his injury. What can you say about that group just staying consistent despite the different changes?
Yeah, it's a credit to all of them, and they compete well. They communicate well. Coach Lynn does a tremendous job leading that room, but I think that's the coolest part is just they all support each other. Like when C-Rod got in and had some good runs, nobody was more happy for him than B-Rob, and that's awesome to see. That's not like that everywhere I've been, but I think that's the message of the competition in that room. They know whoever goes in can do it at a high level, and they continue to support each other.
What are some of the strengths that you've seen so far this season in the Steelers' defense?
Yeah, taking the ball away and creating negative plays. They're coverage-wise very sticky in man coverage when they decide to do that, and then the pass rush, it doesn't leave you much room for error. So you have to be very precise. You have to stay on schedule, and there's going to be some plays that we got to find ways to get the ball out of our hands and not take negative plays on first and second down.
Seems like every week teams have a elite edge pass rusher, but not necessarily to the extent that TJ Watt is. What kind of challenge does that provide, and do you find that yourself as you're watching tape, kind of cognitively thinking about having to add help or double or chip or all the different things you guys do?
Yeah, when I'm watching tape, when I'm sleeping, all of the above. He's a game record. He's like on that level of certain guys around the league, the Aaron Donalds, I know he's retired, but where it's like, okay, going into that week, we've got to know where he's at on every play. And if we leave one play where he's not accounted for and given extra attention, then that's the play that can change the game. He's that dominant of a player, and he plays with that type of effort. So, yeah, definitely one that keeps you up at night.
Just one more on TJ Watt. You guys obviously play some other really good pass rushers, Miles Garrett, Brian Burke, etc. Sometimes you still leave them free and unblocked, and obviously there's a scheme to there, and there's a quarterback decision that has to be made. I don't know if you really want to dive into this, but do you get a little bit less afraid doing that against TJ Watt, given like his status right now?
I'm pretty fearful of all those guys, so they all keep me up at night. So I think we've tried to protect as best we can against some of those guys, but there's a reason they're going to be Hall of Fame players. I mean, they've played a long time. They know how to kind of navigate the chips and the edges and still find a way to get it done.
Just to jump ahead a little bit, because I don't think we're going to get you next week with a short week. Is that like sort of another test for Jaden to cram in as much as he can, and how does that process work from here?
Yeah, it's a test for everybody. I mean, those Thursday games, as far as NFL coaches go, I'd say you kind of just throw your hands up and say, we hope we play really well, Like I've seen times that we didn't practice and you're almost like, well, maybe we should just do that shit every week, because it's like played really well. But, yeah, you walk through, you try to have as much carryover and as many things maybe that you've repped and didn't get to, in the game. So you have that backup there. But, yeah, it's never easy. So I don't think being a rookie is that much different. Honestly, it's a new experience every time you get one of those.
Do you do anything about the playbook? Do you do anything differently with what you install in a game for that because it is a short week?
You just, me personally will install less, but there's stuff we've had throughout the season that maybe I can go back and find that fits. We repped it, so at least there's a commonality with our players have terminology and execution they've walked through, they practice it, and we show the clips from previous practices, and to me that has always been something that makes me feel better, is at least they've got some live full speed reps before you go out there and try to do it.
Even in practice, do you walk through as much as you normally do?
I do, yeah, excessively. Yeah, I do. All right, thank y'all. Appreciate it.